Alright, so this is a sculpture I was working on the other day, and I've left it out overnight. I've dried it real fast. You probably aren't going to want to dry it. Well, you may not want to dry it super fast, but basically what I wanted to achieve was I wanted her surface to be leather hard. I was a little bit worried about some of her small parts that stick out, so I covered up her nose. Her nose gets real thin right here. Her ears get fairly thin there, and I also covered up her ponytail because it sticks out. Clay is going to dry most quickly at its edges, right? And so the bottom, the very top, the tips of the ponytail, the tips of the nose and ear. And I didn't want anything to start to change and become bone dry. I wanted her to be leather hard kind of everywhere. Now she is still on her armature, and she's still pretty thick in some places. So what I'm going to show you now is cutting her apart and hollowing her out. So I am going to start to divide her into several pieces. Now, I don't want to divide her down, I'm going to cut her apart, all right? So I don't want to cut her apart right through the middle, because then it's going to be hard to put her back together. I want to divide her into some more manageable slices, some pieces that are a little bit smaller, but also pieces that I can then use gravity to help me put together. So I'm going to start by lightly identifying where I want to cut her apart. I think it'll be easier to work above the ponytail, and then I don't want to come straight through something that's taken a lot of work to get the details right on. So it's better to cut her maybe here, give her a lobotomy, or maybe I can come through the nose and work around that way. I'm going to actually divide her into several parts. So I'm going to cut around the head. I'm going to come up over the forehead. I can come down a little bit through here because there's extra, there's not as much going on in the hair. And I've just cut kind of lightly to begin with because two things. I want to show you what I'm looking at, but I also need to key this. Now I've got it, keying means when I put it back together, I want to put it back together at the right order. Now I have some natural keys. This edge, where the forehead and the hair are different textures, is a place that I can line up later on. Same thing over there. But depending on the shape you're doing, it's helpful to have some marks, particularly if it's fairly symmetrical all the way around, some marks at some various points that you can line up. Now, I've screwed up her forehead. She looks like Frankenstein, but that's okay. I'm gonna need to do some cleanup later on. Part of the reason she's not perfectly smooth and even on all her surfaces is because I don't want to get so focused on all the details and then cut them apart and mess them up. It makes people upset, right? When you spend that much time. I want you to build fast, cut it apart, put it back together, and then do some of your finishing and some of your cleanup and perfection. So I'm going to use my fettling knife. Paring knife is fine as well. Or even an X-Acto knife, and I'm going to cut into her. Now, in different parts of her head, excuse me, I may run into different amounts of resistance. So I know that inside her head somewhere here, we've got some plastic bags. But it may be that most of her head is pretty solid. So far, I haven't felt the give of a plastic bag, and so I'm just working my way through. And there's something. Oh, I'm running into the stick that's in the back of her ponytail here. So the idea here is that I'm going to work my way through. Take your time. It's going to take some force to get in there and give her this brain surgery. And I think I've just run into the plastic. I can hear it a little bit. So I don't need to go around again if I've cut through, so you don't need to go around again if you've cut through, but I'm still getting some resistance, so I'm going to give her a little bit of lift and see what we're sticking on. Now, sticking is normal, that's fine. You've got plastic in here, and you may have some places where the clay is kind of wrapped around the plastic or the paper that you've got inside. You're not going to be able to slice through the plastic. You're going to end up kind of peeling it off. So I can feel that her head is starting to go. Now you know why you needed to let her surface be leather hard, right? If her surface is really wet, you're going to be squishing it as you do this. So having her surface be leather hard allows you a little bit easier to get in there and gives you a little bit more, you can use a little bit more force to get up underneath her like this. She's coming. She's just coming kind of slowly. And I want to be fairly gentle with her because I don't want to break her into pieces. Right? Or I don't want to smish, I've got to cut her into pieces. I don't want to rip her into pieces. So I've pulled out the inside, and this is where the armature was. You can see that I was running into, I didn't have a ton of padding up here on the armature, which was causing me some grief. This is too thick. This will blow up in the kiln. So I am planning to cut away most of the clay inside of that edge. Now this top section is going to be fairly straightforward. And I'm going to just set that aside right now. As I work on the rest of her, you see I've lost a little bit here. That's okay, I can fix it later. As I work on the rest of here, I want to think about how she's going to go back together. I'm going to have to cut off the ponytail at some point, and then I'm going to have to cut into the rest of her head. It might be a good idea to come down like this, and actually I'll just draw that line in right now. It might be a good idea to come down about like this for two reasons. One is I'm avoiding facial features and avoiding the ear. The other is I'm coming to the widest part, which is the chin, and I'm still going to have some gravity that helps me put that down onto there. The back part I might want to come around, sort of like this to get in there, or maybe right above the ear maybe. And then I'm probably also going to have to cut her neck off. It's brutal, it's hard on her, the poor lady, but she is going to go back together at the end. And then somewhere through here I'm going to have to cut. I'm going to have to pull this stick out. In fact, I can probably pull it out now because this has some more, because it's leather hard, it's a little bit more stable. I'm probably going to cut the ponytail off, but then I'm also probably going to end up cutting the ponytail up because it's going to be hard. Actually, why don't I do that now? It's going to be hard to get in to all the parts of the ponytail. So I'm just going to chop this guy off of here. Oops, what am I forgetting? I should key it. So I put a one line here, and then I put 2 lines on this side, and that should do it for me if I keep that same cut. Alright, so now I know how it goes back on, because I've got those marks that I can line up. That I can line up that way and over here. But then this whole thing is going to be hard to carve down into, so I'm probably going to end up slicing it in half. I'll want to key those cuts as well, and I'll show you that in the next video. Thanks.